working to make democracy accessible. Most important questions, such as the big existential one that tends to trip up our politicians, which is, what are you going to do about it? And her answer was that she was counting on us, the youth, to help propel this movement. Now, initially, that shocked me, because our very own governor was saying that she needed young people to step up in order to properly execute her position. And that's like asking somebody at the kiddie table to cut the turkey. Or is it? Because on one hand, the movement cannot create policy without consent from lawmakers. But on the other hand, historically, if people hadn't rose up together in protest, certain threats to our democracy would have been easily shut down by opposing forces. But climate change is a global threat, and it doesn't just affect our species, it possesses a threat to every beating heart, steady pulse, and living organism that resides within this atmosphere.
4 years, we have gone to the United States Supreme Court twice and won both times against the Trump administration. That's right. And we are challenging the policies of this government that exacerbate climate change, whether it be subsidizing fossil fuels, whether it be authorizing and permitting fossil fuels, and rolling back good climate policies. But as we gather here today, it's clear to me, it's clear in my mind, that we are living in dangerous and troubled times. Our neighbors in Puerto Rico, our neighbors in the Bahamas, in the southeastern states are still recovering from devastating hurricanes. Our neighbors in California are recovering from devastating, unseasonable, and unusual wildfires. And as climate chaos continues to envelop this nation and the world, officials at the highest levels of the United States government continue to disregard climate chaos, and they continue to show day after day their contempt for science, the rule of law, and the truth itself. Now, our constitutional rights to life, liberty, and property are now violated by this devastating climate chaos. The right of youth to equal protection of the law is abridged because we must deal with the disproportionate impacts of climate change during our lifetime. We can see these violations of the law and the violations of our rights in the climate impacts that we're already seeing around the world and the policies that the U.S. government is perpetuating that are exacerbating the climate crisis. And that is why the U.S. courts have ruled in this case that the government is in fact violating our constitutional rights when it exacerbates climate change. From where I stand, it's clear to me that the students gathered here today, this generation is going to save this country and the world before it's too late, because we are the last hope. We are the last hope. We are going to start by marching in the street. We're going to make our voices heard. We're going to vote. Those of us who are old enough are going to vote in the next election in record numbers. And yes, we're going to continue taking the government to the U.S. Supreme Court to defend our right to a stable climate. This generation has the power in its hands to transform society, culture, and politics in the U.S. and around the world. We are the most progressive generation, the most diverse generation, and one of the most highly educated generations ever in U.S. history. And by the numbers, we are one of the largest demographics in U.S. history. So there can be no doubt that the long-term future belongs to us. But the fact of the matter is that we cannot wait 10 years, we cannot wait 20 years for climate action. The IPCC has given us just 11 years to the year 2030 to take transformative action to move away from fossil fuels and cut our emissions dramatically. And many experts say the IPCC doesn't even go far enough. 2 degrees warming is too much. We need a national plan that is tailored to reduce global greenhouse gas concentrations from the current level of 415 parts per million CO2 to the safe level of 350 parts per million CO2, and we will settle for nothing less. The truth is that we are out of time to fix climate change. We were out of time 20 years ago. In fact, it was my own research that showed that the first U.S. president to be informed of the climate crisis was John F. Kennedy in 1961. So for almost 70 years, the U.S. government has been on notice, and yet they've continued to promote policies that perpetuate fossil fuels in this country and around the world. Now, just as Kennedy set a goal to put a man on the moon in 10 years, we now need to set a goal and make a plan to decarbonize our energy system over the next few decades. In the years to come, as we are responding to this present crisis and as we try to build a more just society, the efforts that will be required of this young generation are going to echo the efforts of a previous generation of youthful Americans, known as the Greatest Generation, who fought World War II and pulled the U.S. out of the Great Depression. Now, just as that generation enacted a New Deal to break the power of corporations and help the common person, we are now tasked with passing a Green New Deal to decarbonize our energy system. President Roosevelt once told the Greatest Generation that there is a mysterious cycle in human events. To some generations, much is given. Of other generations, much is expected. This generation, he said, has a rendezvous with destiny. Now, I believe our own generation has a rendezvous with destiny, and it starts today. And although the challenges that we face may be enormous, so too is our spirit and our passion and our commitment to get the job done. We are the first generation to feel the impacts of climate change and the last generation that can stop it. But seeing this crowd here today and feeling the energy that we can feel today fills me with optimism and makes me believe that we will rise to this challenge and we will save ourselves from the climate crisis before it's too late. We've got to remember that the world depends on us. Thank you.
It will be at the info desk if you need a key. Okay, wow, this is so exciting. Next, we have Maria Alejandra Gallegos Chacon. She was born in Quito, Ecuador, and has called Chicago, Hillsborough, and Eugene, Oregon home. She recently graduated from the University of Oregon with an honors in ethnic studies. Yeah! When people ask what you can do with that degree, she tells them you can organize to disarm police, run and win student body presidency, and now mobilize East Portland youth for a cleaner and more equitable transportation system with Opal Environmental Justice's Up With Riders campaign. Give it up for Alejandra! Hello, everyone. Welcome. How are y'all feeling? Yeah, it's a little chilly, but we're in Oregon, so that's what it is. Before we get started, I want to acknowledge that we're rallying on stolen indigenous land of the Multnomah, Chinook, Lower Coos, Umpqua, and countless other tribes who've lived on this land since time immemorial. We are guests on this land, and how we treat it and how we treat each other will determine whether or not we'll stay here and thrive for the years to come. As the beautiful hostess said, my name is Maria Alejandra Gallegos Chacon. I'm a queer Ecuadorian woman, and I am the youth organizer for the Youth Environmental Justice Alliance, YEJA. We are a youth-led organizing space from East Portland, and they are mostly youths of color, and they come together to win what we really need,
Youth are not the leaders of the future, they are the leaders of today. Youth demand justice from corporations, militaries, and governments that have allowed our climate to collapse. When I say youth, you say justice. Youth! Justice! Youth! Justice! Youth! Justice! Thank you. YASIA is a base building program at Opal Environmental Justice, Oregon. We're accountable to our membership, where we give them the space, tools, and trainings to win what they really need in their community. We have a responsibility to build power and keep the fight for a safe, healthy environment for youth of today and tomorrow. Because the decisions of today will impact youth long after the older, the richer, and the whiter are gone. Climate justice intersects all the great issues of our time: housing, transportation, water rights, tribal sovereignty. Almost anything you can think of: climate change, white nationalism, economic inequality, stems from an economy built on greed, exploitation, and militarism. We all have roles to play. It's not just the climate, but it's the climate that destroyed it's the economy that destroyed the climate. Repeat after me. Okay, you all did this chant earlier. We are unstoppable, another world is possible.
We are unstoppable, another world is possible. We are unstoppable, another world is possible.
Thank you. I'm sprinkling in chants for y'all to keep it lively, all right? So, transportation is our #1 contributor to greenhouse gas emissions in this state. That's right. Our streets are clogged with traffic, our buses are stuck behind cars, our air quality is some of the worst in the nation in liberal Portland. Fossil fuels are everywhere, and single-occupancy vehicles are clogging our streets, increasing air toxics, slowing down transport, and making public transit system worse for all. Trimmer ridership is down, and since they're making less money, they want to raise fares. I'm going to repeat that. Yeah. Their ridership is down, so they're making it more expensive. In TriMet's vision of the future, fares go up while riders are down. It's messed up, but YASIA, in partnership with Bus Riders Unite, Portland's Transit Riders Union, have developed a clear set of demand from local decision makers. We want ridership to go up, and we want fares to go down. Up with Riders is our campaign to stop fare hikes and win a truly public transportation free of fares, free of congestion, and free of racial profiling. Who supports Up with Riders? Who supports transit without police? All right, chant with me, Blazer fans. Okay. Up with Riders. Up with Riders. Up with Riders. Thank you.